original date palm hasn't been seen here for maybe 1,000 years.
We would like to revive the Judean date and see if it lives up to expectations and legends.
The date palm tree was known throughout the ancient world, the Judean date palm, as one of the tastiest, largest dates in the world. But it was also famous because it had very strong medicinal properties. It was used against infections, for depression, as a general tonic to make you feel better, and it was highly sought after. There's a lot of archaeology in Israel. You know, Masada was excavated extensively by Yigal Yadin. And when he was excavating, he found thousands and thousands of ancient date seeds. And with those seeds, we went down to Kibbutz Keturah and we said to Elaine, put them in the soil, water them, and see if anything comes up.
And it took me some time to figure out how I might do it, because you only have one chance with each seed. And I began to work at how I might be able to revive fragile specimens. After rehydrating some of the seeds, I began to think of how I might encourage them to grow if they were alive. When I first saw that something was actually coming up, I could not take my eyes off of it.
Date palms are either male or female, and Methuselah is a gentleman, and he produces pollen, so he won't produce fruit. So what Elaine did is she asked somebody who had a wild female growing on their farm, right up in the Arava, and he took some of the pollen and he put it on the wild female, and a few weeks, months later, it produced some dates. We would like to try and germinate more seeds and make sure they really are ancient seeds, and perhaps even one day have a whole plantation of ancient trees, male and female ancient trees, and reintroduce the ancient date back into agriculture.
Today is a historic day in which we celebrate the harvest of the first fruit of Hannah, an ancient date tree sprouted from an ancient date seed. This is the result of many years of scientific research at the Arava Institute by Dr. Elaine Soloway.
Here we are with Hannah. She is the female tree that we pollinated from Methuselah's pollen, and she bore us 111 really nice dates with a caramel honey aftertaste. We had a bit of a ceremony in which we cut the dates ceremoniously. Later on, my husband Michael said Shechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri ha'etz.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Amen.
And we ceremoniously tasted them.
It really is a symbol of the miracle that we try to perform here at the Arava Institute, bringing people from the Middle East together in order to plant a seed of peace, which we hope will someday sprout into a tree of peace and friendship.
The next fruit in line is the incredible date, and there's some unbelievable facts about this date. Firstly, a date in Hebrew is Tamar, and guess what? It does not appear in the pasuk. It says Eretz Zait Shemen Udvash, a land of olive oil and honey. The sages say that the honey referred to here is the honey of the date. That's known in English as Silan, the date honey. And in fact, where do we know that the land of Israel is compared to honey? What's the famous pasuk? 15 times in the Torah, Eretz Zavat Chalav Udvash, a land flowing with milk and honey. 15 times in the Torah regarding the land of Israel. 5 more times in Tanakh. 20 times this land of Israel is a land flowing with milk and honey. What milk and what honey? One opinion says what we normally think, milk of a cow, honey of the bee. There are many other opinions which say no, you learn from this pasuk that the dvash is the dvash of the silan, the very sweet date honey. And therefore there are many opinions which say, Zavat Chalav Udvash, it's the date honey, as it says in the Pasuk, Eretz Zait Shemen Udvash. And therefore a date and its silan is one of the sweetest fruits that there is. The silan is the most incredible, full of nutrients. I read an incredible fact only this morning. Do you know what I read? It says that the most basic diet that a person needs, that a human being needs, is one date and a glass of milk. Because one date, listen to this, has 23 amino acids, proteins that do not exist in any other fruit. And therefore this fruit is a jam-packed protein mixture that you don't find with any other fruit. And it also has, before we eat it, sweetness. Eretz Zavat Chalav Udvash, a land flowing with milk and honey. Not only the sweet honey of the bee, but the sweet silan, which you find in Israel, the dates. And therefore, may it be that in this tough corona year of this Tu BiShvat, that it should be now sweet. It should be a sweet year. We should only have sweetness and only reasons to celebrate with the oozing sweetness of the silan and the incredible date.
This is the Yehi Ratzon for the date. Yehi Ratzon שנפרח כתמר שתול בבית השם.
Amen. Both the dates and the figs need to be checked for little insects which they have, and indeed let us enjoy this. And I'm going to make a shechianu since we haven't actually had it yet, and I'm going to make a shechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shechianu v'kiyemanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Now that is some honey.